There are games that offer power, and there are games that offer truth. Ghost of Tsushima does both, and in doing so, leaves you with a wound that aches long after the final duel. Set during the Mongol invasion of Tsushima Island in 1274, the game follows Jin Sakai, a samurai noble trained in the code of honor, Bushidō, as he is forced to become something else entirely. The Ghost, a symbol of resistance, a wielder of fear, a protector of the people through methods his ancestors would have deemed dishonorable. But this isn't just a game about war. It's about transformation, about what happens when your ideals crash into reality, and what it costs to survive that collision. In this essay, we'll explore Ghost of Tsushima through the lens of philosophy, identity, and ethical pluralism. What is honor when the world no longer rewards it? What does it mean to become something your past would condemn in order to serve a future worth living for? And ultimately, who are you when you remove your mask, or choose never to? Jin Sakai begins as a man of tradition, raised in the dojo, taught to face enemies directly, to die with dignity rather than win through shame. Bushidō, the samurai code, is not just a guideline. It is a worldview, a metaphysics, a belief that how you fight reflects who you are. But that code was forged in a different world, a more orderly one, where warfare followed unwritten rules. The Mongols bring no such sentiment. They burn villages, kill civilians, and mock open combat. Jin's uncle, Lord Shimura, clings to Bushidō even in the face of annihilation. And here's where the existential weight of the game begins to take shape. Do you remain loyal to your code, or to your people? This is Ghost of Tsushima's central ethical conflict. Jin's transformation into the Ghost is not a descent into villainy. It is a refusal to let his people die for an idea. In this, he reflects a kind of moral pragmatism, what political philosopher Isaiah Berlin might call value pluralism. There is no single correct good. Sometimes values conflict. And when they do, we are forced to choose, not between good and evil, but between competing goods. For Jin, the cost of honor is measured in bodies, so he picks a different path. When Jin dons the ghost mask, he becomes something more and less than himself. He becomes fear incarnate, an assassin, a trickster, a legend, but he also becomes a man split in two. This duality recalls Sartre's idea of bad faith, the idea that we often lie to ourselves to maintain a coherent self-image, avoiding responsibility for the selves we are becoming. Jin doesn't lie, but he does struggle. The mask liberates him and isolates him. His transformation is not just tactical, it is philosophical. To become the Ghost is to accept that your previous identity is insufficient, that to be faithful to the people, you may have to be unfaithful to yourself. And in doing so, Jin enacts a kind of existential heroism. Like Camus's absurd man, he finds no salvation in rigid meaning. But he acts anyway. He rebels against fate, against inherited roles, against moral clarity. And in doing so, he becomes something modern and deeply human. One of the game's most powerful mechanics is the standoff, a confrontation where you face your enemy directly with honor, blade to blade. It is cinematic, pure, elegant. But as the game progresses, stealth becomes necessary, poison, assassination, terror tactics. The standoff fades into memory. Each time Jin kills an enemy from the shadows, the camera lingers. He averts his eyes. The music swells with unease. The player feels it, the violation of something sacred. But this guilt is not universal. It is cultural, internalized. Jin has not become cruel. He is simply wielding tools that his upbringing taught him to fear. Here, we touch on Michel Foucault's idea of disciplinary power, the way societies internalize surveillance, creating self-regulating subjects. Jin carries the gaze of Lord Shimura in his mind, a gaze that judges him long before the final confrontation. His guilt is not the voice of his conscience. It is the voice of his culture, one that cannot adapt fast enough to save itself. Lord Shimura is one of the most tragic figures in modern gaming. He is noble, brave, loyal, and he is by all appearances a good man. But he is also doomed. He represents deontological ethics, the belief that right and wrong are defined by duty, not consequences. In another era, he would be a hero. In this one, he becomes a relic. And that's the tragedy. He doesn't change because he cannot. To accept the ghost is to admit that the old way failed. And for a man who built his life around that code, this is death. The final duel between Jin and Shimura is not just a fight, it is a philosophical rupture, a literal clash of worldviews. Neither man is evil, both are trying to save Tsushima, but they no longer speak the same moral language. And the player must choose, honor the code or break it. And in doing so, redefine what honor even means. Jin's transformation into the ghost is not just personal, it is symbolic. He becomes a living myth, whispered in villages, feared by invaders, adored by the oppressed. His deeds are exaggerated, stylized, retold. He ceases to be Jin Sakai and becomes something more and something less. This is Jungian individuation turned inside out. Jin does not integrate his shadow, he becomes it. The ghost is not a hidden part of him. It is a persona forged by necessity. Yet this myth grants power. It moves people. It reshapes the future. And in that, we see the paradox of human identity. To survive, we must sometimes become what we are not. To lead, we must sometimes wear a mask so long we forget the face beneath. Unlike most war games, Ghost of Tsushima is not soaked in bloodlust. It is steeped in beauty. Fields of wind-blown pampas grass, shrines nestled in cliffs, haiku spots that ask you to slow down and reflect. Nature in this game is not background. It is a teacher. It reminds Jin and us of impermanence, of the transience of all things. In this, Ghost of Tsushima borrows from Zen Buddhism, which permeates Japanese aesthetics. Fleeting beauty, quiet death, acceptance of change. The game's title itself evokes a ghost, something in between. Not dead, not alive, not samurai, not assassin, not Jin, not legend, just something trying to endure. At the end of Ghost of Tsushima, there is no triumphant celebration, no clear reward, just a question. What have you become? You have saved your home, but at what cost? You are not the man your uncle raised. You are not the man you thought you were. And perhaps you are something better. But you will never be whole again. This is Ghost of Tsushima's final gift. It shows that heroism is not purity, it is sacrifice. It is doing what the moment requires, not for glory, but for others. And it asks the player, gently, hauntingly, not to celebrate your choices, but to live with them. Ghost of Tsushima is more than a samurai tale. It is a philosophical meditation on duty, identity, and the human cost of adaptation. It is about how people, cultures, and values evolve, and how painful that evolution can be. Jin Sakai does not abandon honor, he redefines it. He does not destroy tradition. He carries it forward, reshaped by necessity. He does not lose himself, he fragments and finds something truer in the pieces. In the end, he is neither Jin nor Ghost. He is Tsushima. If this reflection moved you, subscribe to Philosophy and Pixels for more deep dives into the games that move us. The ones that challenge not just our reflexes, but our souls.